Welcome back to Wake Up America. So President Trump can certainly celebrate a big win in his ongoing battle against anti-Semitism on college campuses, especially with Columbia University. That's the Ivy League school right here in New York.
But what will it mean to Jewish students on the Ivy League campus who've been victimized by pro-Hamas protesters and even locked up in a library by radicals shouting anti-American slurs?
Yeah.
Under pressure from President Trump, Columbia will pay more than $220 million to the federal government following last year's pro-Palestinian protests. The administration accuses Columbia of violating anti-discrimination laws by failing to protect students from anti-Semitic harassment.
Yeah, Columbia will also pay the fine in exchange for a return of hundreds of millions of dollars in federal research funding and dedicate approximately $20 million to resolve civil rights complaints by Jewish employees. They went through so much over the past few years. Joining us now for more on this, Katz, a student at Columbia University. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. I'll start just by asking you, what have you gone through being a Jewish student at this school?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's definitely an up and down battle being a Jewish student at Columbia. There are some days where you really wouldn't know that there's any unrest on campus, and other days where it's hard for that really not to be front of your mind and really a part of your everyday motions. I would say being a student at Columbia who is Jewish, it is really difficult not to walk around campus sometimes having sort of a question at the front of your mind of, is it okay for me to have my Star of David on my chest? Is it okay for me to outwardly talk with one of my friends about being Jewish? But I think more than anything else, the way the campus has sort of developed and grown over the last year is really falling into this category of Jewish students needing to be prideful for who they are and really ready to not let that affect them every day.
Yeah, TJ, I mean, I can only imagine the feeling you must have. I mean, you probably, I'm going to assume that you've dreamed of going to Columbia or an Ivy League school from the time when your first academic studies and schooling started, and now this is how your experience is going, not what you expected. Now, Columbia is still not admitting any guilt, but agreed to a federal monitor on these policies. Do you think that's enough, and do you think it will change the experience that you and so many fellow Jewish students will go through?
Definitely. I mean, it's hard to say. I think that at a bare minimum, the fact that the institution has been the first to take this step, the administration has been the first Ivy League school to do so, the first private school in America to do so, and according to President Trump, allegedly paving the path for other schools to follow as well. I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. It's difficult to say if this will be enough, if this will actually lead to legitimate change and a legitimate sentiment shift on campus. But I think that undoubtedly, whether or not the administration at Columbia has been able to come forth and admit their faults, admit sort of everything that's been happening, hasn't exactly occurred yet. The fact that they've been willing to go forth, pay essentially these $200 million as a way of saying that we admit we were wrong. And I think it's finally America's administration getting these schools to finally hold some accountability for what's happened on campuses over the last year.
Yeah, and I think this amount of money speaks volumes. Do you think that other universities will take this as a lesson of where to go from here? Do you think this is just the start?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, these schools in America are going to need to wake up and understand that the current administration in place in America is not joking around. The fact that they've stripped so many schools away from hundreds of millions of dollars worth of funding that's going towards a variety of different things like medical research, really the forefront of why these institutions exist in the first place. And I think at the end of the day, money talks. And I think a lot of schools will realize that paying what is, in all honesty, a small fine now will save them hundreds of millions of dollars later. And Columbia's already come forth and announced that they've had over $400 million worth of research grants reinstated immediately after agreeing to pay those $200 million over 3 years. years. And I definitely think that other schools will follow suit soon.
Yeah, TJ, before we let you go, I got to ask you, as a Jewish student at a college in New York City, not only are you facing what you've already gone through on campus, but now you may face it from the city itself. As a socialist mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, history of support of Palestine, previously refused to condemn calls to globalize the Intifada. Does all of this combined make you feel less welcome in New York City?
I mean, I have to say it does, but at the same time, it doesn't. You know, I'm involved in so many Jewish organizations on campus, the main one being the country's leading Jewish fraternity, AEPI, where I'm a member there, and I have a super strong and welcoming community in that space and in so many other spaces.
Yeah.
And I think that no matter what the politics of the city are, no matter what the state of the university is, at the end of the day, it's really how you go about your life, how you surround yourself, how you try to drive change around you. And I know that for me personally, I'm proud to be a Jew, and that will never change. And I know that I'll continue to surround myself in settings where I can at least stand up for who I am and not be afraid of who I am.
All right. Good for you. Great attitude. Absolutely. I love that. All right. TJ Katz, thank you for taking the time this morning. Best of luck to you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
So much more to come here on Wake Up America. Coming up, former President Joe Biden has officially